group today, and I'm excited about the subject, and especially as it relates in our COVID world. So, and probably going into the future, we've got a team here in Murrieta that big, huge every weekend. So I'm going to start the intro. But open houses, physical open houses back in the day, 6 months ago. Uh,
You sound like me. That's what I say every single time of like 6 months ago back in the day. Yeah.
yeah. So huge. Their team out every single weekend doing open houses Saturday and Sunday. And I think, Michael, you might have shared this with me, but now they're doing it virtually, and they're like, they love it. They get the contact information now. They are engaged with the people that are going through the virtual open house. Then maybe they say they won't be going back to the old way of doing open houses. So I'm very excited to see. Marlena, I thank you for being our presenter today, and Nick spoke very highly of you. So Nick, do you want to take over? You know Marlena a little bit better and do an intro?
I love working with Marlena, and she's going to be going over again her Facebook virtual open house strategies today. So I'm very excited to showcase her today. She's one of the very first agents in our company to really get out there and start doing these religiously. And I know she's had huge success. And she's been a top producing agent with us for quite a while. I am so pleased to welcome the lovely Marlena Baldonado. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm very honored and privileged to be speaking on today's call. Thank you so much, because you could have picked really anyone. But I really did start doing virtual open houses immediately after the stay-at-home orders were put into place, because I just put a new listing on the market. And having that all-inclusive marketing plan, the reason why sellers choose you, right? Why you're interviewing for the job and why they ultimately hire you is for that marketing plan. So to have a way to substitute a, normal open house that we're used to, which was just not an option anymore, going virtual was really just as a last resort. It's really all we could do, right? So it's a funny story, because it was a huge success and a huge failure all at the same time. And what I mean by that is I had one person watching my virtual open house, one person registered for the event, and it just so happened to be an agent who had buyers looking in the area, and he wanted to check it out before he, brought his clients over to see the place. So as soon as the virtual open house was over, he called and he scheduled a showing. They went and saw the place, and we had a full price offer later that evening. So it really does work to the extent that it's meant to. But aside from that, obviously getting a full price offer on your listing from a virtual open house is a huge success and a huge win. I'll go over a couple of other ways to really leverage a virtual open house in terms of getting leads, connecting with leads, and then nurturing those leads. My video's off. I don't know if that's fine by me, but if you want to turn it on, you can. But we'll start with picking the property, right? So obviously, if you have your own listing, start there. And there are tons of marketing opportunities that come along with this. If it is your own listing, you could be running the social ad engine, Facebook and social media ads, promote the event to those leads. That's the best thing you can do with those leads coming in. Continue to invite them and send them the promo and the invite so that they have the link to your virtual open house. If you don't have any listings and you really want this to be a lead generation type of source for your business, then you can pick any listing out there that has a 3D tour. So whether that's a Matterport or the Ryko, however, you need a 3D tour for the listing to be able to do this virtual open house in this manner. I'll talk about webinar versus an on-site virtual open house. So you would have to get that listing agent's buy-in, right? Send them a message, give them a call, introduce yourself, explain what your plans are in terms of highlighting and promoting this property, this listing on your virtual open house. And then along with that, getting their cooperation and plugging in the bit.ly links and everything else for advertising. So getting that information into the MLS, getting that information up on the Zillow site for that listing. So kind of segueing into the two different ways to do a virtual open house. You can do it webinar style, which is how we're doing it now, right? This whole platform and setup, which is being broadcast live to Facebook Live. So that's definitely how I leverage this tool. So you do need a pro account on Zoom to have this capability. And it's a small cost, honestly, if you think about it on a monthly basis, to be able to hold virtually endless amounts of virtual open houses as you want from the comfort of your own home. So as long as you have those listings lined up, whether they're your own or others with the 3D tours, you can do virtual open house every single day. You can do them twice a day if you have the time. But the cost to that is, I think, so minimal and so worth the investment, because then you have that streaming to Facebook Live capability where that video, your webinar virtual open house, can continue to play. And with that just comes more promotion to that listing, to yourself as a real estate agent. So it's huge. I think the marketing like prospects of this is just where really why I choose to do virtual open houses. Yes, it's a great way to highlight that listing and hopefully, get a buyer and get that deal sold. But again, it's another way to market yourself. So with the webinar Zoom platform, I highly recommend making a registration required, because then you get those contacts, those leads, to leave their email address there for you. So you use that as follow-up. You can use that information if for some reason they actually just didn't log in to the webinar. You get a notification of that, and then you can follow up and say, hey, sorry you missed our virtual open house. Here is the recording for you. And then, plug them into your database and continue to nurture those leads. What you want to do with that webinar registration link is plug it into Bitly. And what that does, if you're not familiar, it shortens the URL. So it's easy to copy and paste and plug it into those different, the MLS listing descriptions and the Zillows and advertising on Facebook and your Instagram. So Bitly is highly, recognized. I think a lot of people out there who are on social media know what that means. So it's a trusted source. And then you use that link and you blast it everywhere, right? Encourage the registration. You're really promoting the event. So on site, switching gears to if you really want to be physically at the property, which is definitely doable. I see a lot of agents in my market doing this and it works. Preferably if it's a vacant property or if the seller is, at a comfort level where they don't mind you coming in, because really it should be you, maybe with one other person. So if you're doing it on site, you can film it solo, right? So you flip the camera around and then you tour through the home as you're talking and highlighting all the features of that property. But you can also have someone there with you to film you as you tour. So it's more of you're playing hostess to an open house, right? A couple of things to keep in mind here is, again, leveraging the event, leveraging this marketing opportunity. So if you're doing it on site with a video as you tour around physically in the property, you want to either do that on Facebook Live or Instagram Live. Shooting a video and then posting it it's okay to do, it's just not going to give you the same results. It's just better to go live, be genuine, have, the bloopers in there. That's what makes it fun. That's why people will tune in. That's what's going to get them engaged in what you're doing. So Facebook Live or Instagram Live, have someone, one of your business reps, someone who can host a watch party on Facebook Live. So on their own feed, they're highlighting your video as a watch party, and then everyone on all of their contacts, everyone on their Facebook feed will see that. So you're reaching beyond just your sphere of influence. So as many people as you can get to share this event, the better. Same thing on Instagram. on your IG story feed, you can have someone join your live feed. So you can have a lender or any other, rep that you work with jump in and talk a little bit, engage with them, like make it fun, converse. If you think about when you're hosting a typical open house, it's fun because you're there with other people and the buyers are coming in and you're talking to them and you're connecting with them. And that same energy, that same level of connectedness should come across in your virtual open house. It shouldn't be technical. It shouldn't be dry and, solely for the sake of doing something on a Zoom webinar. No one wants to see that. So make it fun, make it lighthearted. The point is to get engagement from the event.
Hey,
So,
Marlena.
yes.
So you have a question here in the chat, and I just
Okay.
wanted to touch on it before you go any further.
Yes.
So what are you using for registration again, and what does that process look like?
On registration, it's through Zoom webinar. So again, you have to have that pro account, and I honestly think it's like $30 a month. It's not a huge cost. So when you set up your webinar, you have a couple of different options on how you can set up that webinar. So for instance, on like this Zoom meeting that we're having now, you didn't have to register. You can just jump in, use the link, and start watching and seeing what's happening there. But enacting or enabling that registration, that bit.ly link you use, so you use the webinar, the Zoom registration link, translate it into a bit.ly link, and then I post it in my Instagram profile, so right in my bio. So if you're looking at my account, you see my website, you click on that, it's going to pop you up to a registration page. Has my banner across the top, so it's like very legit looking, like it's right there. Marlena Baldonado Realtor, has Coldwell Banker information on it. Then there's like an opportunity for you to put in a description. So you do a little blurb about the event, right? It's a virtual open house. Join me as we tour around this 3-bedroom home in the Los Altos neighborhood, Long Beach, whatever you want to put in there to, quickly describe the event. And then the person who wants to tune in, they just leave their first name, last name, and an email. But
Very
then you
cool.
get that information as that Zoom webinar host. You see who registered, you get all their contact info, and then that's just like gold, right? That's like those are those buyers walking into your open house back in the good old days, logging in their info for you, so you can follow up and continue to nurture those leads.
Another question that came in right now was about Instagram live feed. So basically, what happens to the Instagram live feed once it's over? Does it archive? Kind of like you can save it on Facebook. Does it allow you to do that?
That's a great
And we
question.
can't see anything on the screen, just your face.
Yeah, she hasn't shared her screen.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I don't know if I have that. I can't figure out how to save my or show video. So sorry. I'm clearly not used to not being the host on these things, for my own virtual. So, okay, here we go. Thank you. Co-host asked me to share. Hi, everyone. Okay, cool. So yeah, stop me if there's any other questions. I know I'm kind of hitting a lot of information pretty quickly. Go ahead.
Another, and not now, maybe at the end of your presentation, but maybe if you could show us one of your open houses that you have recorded.
Okay, yeah, I can see if I can pull one up pretty quickly here. I just did one on, what day are we? I don't even know what day it is, sorry. I did it on Saturday morning.
Every
okay,
day's
cool.
Monday.
Every day is Monday. So true. Okay, so there's two ways to do this virtual open house, either through the webinar, which you can push to Facebook Live, which you're doing from the comfort of your own home, right? You don't have to go anywhere, or you can do it on site physically in that listing. Another pro tip on being physically in the home is make sure you can either connect to Wi-Fi or test your connection prior to committing to that in-person virtual open house, because having your audience sit there through, choppiness, blurriness, disconnectedness on that video, you could lose viewership pretty quickly. So, either have a hotspot with you, or if your clients still live in the home, just ask them for their Wi-Fi info and then you'll be good to go. So jumping into lead time, because it's all about planning when it comes to setting a virtual open house. You definitely want at least 4 to 5 days to gain some traction. So again, all going back to leveraging the promotion of this virtual open house with the Facebook, the Instagram. You want to boost those posts, run those ads, share the videos, put it on your stories. However much you can promote the event is only adding to the marketing of yourself and what you're doing for your clients. So this is actually not even the virtual open houses themselves, but I think just the presence, just the content and promoting these events. I've seen an increase in my referrals from my SOI connecting with me on Instagram, sending me, the Facebook messages, where because they're seeing me more and more doing more business related activities, right? So it's not so much that they themselves are like interested in whatever listing I'm hosting a virtual open house on. It's just that they see me engaging in these activities, and then when they're talking to their family and friends, they say, "Oh, you're in the market for a home. Like, you need to talk to Marlena because she's killing it. She's doing all these things for her clients, and I'm watching her on Facebook all the time." So having a couple of days to like gain that traction, promote that event. And it doesn't have to be expensive. If you're boosting the posts, or even running ads, budget for like $20. Like even if that, because you can run a Facebook ad or a post for $10 and still reach like over probably 6,000 people, just depending on the audience size, which is huge because that's just more opportunities to reach more people, right? But when it comes to the actual event and engaging with your audience, so I sound like a broken record, but it is all about the promotion and the leveraging in the social media world. So you have this video playing, whether you're on site or doing the webinar. Have your friends, your Facebook friends, ask them to share the post once it's done. Like, video's playing, have them share it. That way it's reaching their people, their friends and family connected to Facebook. And then they can, obviously it's going to be a shared post from you, but they can also tag you in there. Whatever you can do to boost your presence, your content, and reach more people. So that's like boosting the post, the videos, putting it on your stories, however which way you want to go about it. But respond to every comment, because that's going to boost that video more organically. So your advertising budget is going to go so far, but then when people are engaging on that post, on that video, if you can respond to every comment, continue to engage, that's just going to continue to let that video live on further and further and get more views. And then again, with this, some sellers are very interested in knowing the information and some are not. But if you can capture the metrics, so on Instagram, you can see, your impressions, views, all of these metric trackers. Just take a screenshot on your phone, send it to your client, or if it's the listing agent, you borrowed their listing to do the virtual open house, send them the results. So it's, we're all working together to accomplish the same thing, right? We always want to build up each other, and as a result, our businesses will build. So it's not just use their listing because they have one available, but it's like, then actually give them useful information they can take back to their clients to say, this is working for us. This is the results from that event. And you'll gain a reputation of being, like a good, honest person who, hopefully if you build a relationship with this listing agent and they have other listings, they can turn to you and say, hey, would you mind hosting this for us? So it's a good way to, just continue to build connections. But the engagement on social media is definitely where it's at, because that's where those leads are coming in from. That's where you're going to be able to connect with people. And so DM, direct message, Anybody on Facebook or Instagram who has liked, commented, shared, viewed that video, send them a message directly and thank them for tuning in. Ask them if they have any questions or if they know anybody who would be interested in learning more about that property. And then of course you can always take it a lot further and continue to nurture those leads, collect more information, plug them into your database, invite them to other open houses. So one thing I did, a lot of this focus is on the social media aspect of it, but obviously in promoting your virtual open house, sending an email blast with that invitation, right, to your database, send out an email letting them know the event, maybe the day you plan it, and then again, a day before the actual event as a reminder. It's just another way to put your marketing material out there, engage with your SOI, and share exactly what you're doing out there in this environment where, you know, a lot of people just don't really understand or can conceptualize like how we're still doing business. And if you can show that you're adaptable and have adjusted to the virtual world and still being able to service your clients through that, I mean, that's huge, right? This is like why we're doing this. So to wrap it up, I don't know if there's any other questions that have come up, but I'll definitely take them all on at the end. Couple of tips, just as I've learned in doing this over the last few months, is take your time to research the area and the property because you want to be confident about what you're talking about. It would be so awkward if you're caught in like this silence because you don't really have words to describe what you're looking at, or, you know, you just don't want to get caught in that awkwardness. So if it's not your listing, have the listing agent share with you a couple of highlights. Like, what do they love about the listing? What did their clients love about that home? Have your notepad handy with these notes on it. I look at greaterschools.org to find out what elementary, middle, and high school are designated for that property because people like to know that stuff sometimes, right? So the more you have in terms of like items to talk about and highlight during your open house, you're just gonna, that confidence is gonna come across. You're gonna exude like the knowledge of the professional that you are. So take notes, have those handy, X out all of the windows for webinar mode, because once you log in, you have to share screen and you wanna have the 3D tour window queued up. You don't wanna start digging around for it. Oh my gosh, where's the file? It's like, you know, no one wants to see that. So have what I do is I have everything closed out, close all your windows, and only have the 3D tour ready to go. And that means like at the front door, not some random place in the house because that's how that, you know, website was loaded. But take 30 minutes, honestly. It takes a good 30 minutes to prep and prepare, make sure you know, there are no glitches. You can pull up the website or the file easily. And then in the second tab, I have the Google Maps. And I put it into satellite mode because that shows greenery. That shows any parks that are nearby. If it's a coastal community, it shows how close you are to the water. You just see a lot more. And I'm highly visible or visuals, and I think a lot of people are. So put it into satellite mode. I think just it appeals to more people. And then have the property that you're hosting, have that already marked on the map, and then have that be the center of your screen. So it's the focus, right? That's the whole point. And then be able to kind of talk about, you know, proximity to schools, parks, restaurant shops, freeways for commutes, all of those things, all of the items you've already researched ahead of time, right? Have a glass of water handy because you're talking a lot. If you're like me, you're talking fast, and you know, you don't want to get a frog in your throat, and you need to run off screen because you can't catch your breath or you're coughing uncontrollably. So have a glass of water. And then on webinar mode, if you're sitting like I am here, just be somewhere where you can't be distracted. You know, I closed the curtain behind me here. That's to my kitchen. And my fiance knows if the curtain's closed, I'm working. I'm like Wizard of Oz, you know, don't disturb the man behind the curtain. And then I pull this one over because we have filing cabinets here and no one wants to see piles of paperwork. So be aware of your background, eliminate the distractions. You don't want, the dogs running in and barking, the kids running in. And even though it's all part of life, we're all going through something, but you want to be focused. You don't want anything to be distracting you. So put yourself in an environment where you really can just focus on the task at hand. And really, virtual open house lasts maybe 15 to 20 minutes. If you're taking your time and touring, I usually tour around the property in webinar mode 2 times. And then on site, same thing. If you're, you go through a quick walkthrough of the property, and then as you're engaging with people, because people are commenting, they're asking questions and whatnot on your feed as you're going live, and then you can go back to certain areas of the home. So there's not just one, one way to do it, but just remember, the longer you can keep your audience engaged is kind of like where the magic is. Once those viewers start to drop off, it's probably time, okay, we can wrap it up now. I've said everything I can about this, and now I'm starting to sound like a broken record. So that's what I have.
there's a question in here from Paul. He says, can we view one of your virtual opens without Facebook or Instagram? So as long as they have the link, right, they can obviously view your virtual open house.
Yeah, so in webinar mode, when I do it this way, I have the recording set to automatically records to the cloud. And then once I'm done with that event, that webinar, Zoom sends me the email that says, here's the recording, and you get a link. So then with that, you can share that as many times as you want. It's the link to that video.
How would you suggest an agent, another question in the chat, so how would you suggest an agent handles, this process without like a 3D tour, maybe like just a video or something? How would you suggest they go about showcasing the property?
If you don't have the 3D tour, in person is going to be your next best, because maybe I have it wrong, but if you're talking about like a slideshow type of video, it just doesn't have the same impact. So you really want to be able to do a 360 spin around that space to show, a buyer, this particular, whoever's watching your video, they can't physically be in the home right then and there. So you want to give them that next best option. So they can look at the, photos online, and they can look at the videos online, but when you're actually engaged with them and you're spinning around the room for either the 3D tour or physically there, with your phone, it's just that next level of engagement and showcasing that property, so to speak, that they can't get on their own. Did I go off tangent on that one?
No, I think you're on point. Somebody else was asking, Mary was asking, how do you monitor the chat if you're alone?
It's tough. I don't recommend that. I learned that the hard way. It's too distracting, at least for my mind. What I prefaced my event, that first time I did it solo, was if you have questions, put them in the chat box and then I can review them at the end. That's how you would handle that. But I would say, if you're doing it webinar mode, have a co-host with you. I don't know if I mentioned that when I was talking all about this, but have a co-host with you on webinar, even on site, in person, because they can be the ones to monitor comments and chat in the chat box. That's actually a really great asset to have somebody kind of be your second set of eyes, especially when connecting to Facebook Live as well. So if you have technical difficulties like I experience from time to time, you can be connected to the Facebook Live, but you don't actually see it until a good 10 seconds later. And then you're just sitting there on the computer, am I connected yet or not? So your co-host can be on their phone, on the Facebook feed, and say, okay, we're connected now. And then that's your cue to start talking and engaging.
So we have Paul here who is asking, hi, Paul. Can we create a virtual open house with just Zoom and Matterport? So I think Paul's asking, can you do this without Facebook and Instagram?
Yes. Yes, but then you're not really maximizing the marketing opportunities that come along with that. That would be my only,
Yep.
you know, feedback is if you're going to do this whole event, you know, might as well broadcast it and showcase it to the ends of your, you know, your abilities, and that would be incorporating into your social media platforms. I mean, I'm starting to upload my recordings to YouTube now, just because I have an account, I have a channel, might as well put my content on there. Who knows if anyone will ever watch it, but if anyone's ever on YouTube and like searches virtual open houses, you know, the chance my video may pop up, and you never want to close the door to an opportunity for somebody to engage with you.
Love that. There's lots of questions on just if you can show us, Marlena, do you have the ability to share your screen and show us like your last open house maybe?
Let's see if I can share screen. It looks like
That would
I
be cool.
spotlight video.
And if not, I can probably share mine and then try to find it.
Okay.
You should have permission to share
I
screen.
was just,
So.
I was just
Okay, let me find it on here. More. Share screen. Oh, okay, I got it. All right. I just don't have it pulled up. So let me, this is an example of like having your stuff queued. So where did I have it? Let's pull it up on Facebook.
Michael, I love you, but that was really loud, so I muted you.
I was wondering if that was coming from my feedback. Okay. Let's see here. Bear with me.
Yeah, we can see your screen, so you're good.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I stream it to my business page, and then I share that video once it's posted to on my personal page. So you're hitting them from every angle. Okay, so let me just scroll down and find.
One of the questions was, you know, aren't you losing leads on Facebook Live because your point is to gather registrations? So one of the questions was, how do you capture people through Facebook Live?
You don't, unfortunately, you can't see who viewed your video, but you can see who liked it. So let's see, this is an example of the event promo. So you have the registration link right there. They can click and it takes them to the Zoom site to register. Got a couple of events, sorry. It's taking a minute to load. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So let me put this into, oh, I don't want to, sorry. So you don't have to be very like technical because I don't really know what I'm doing right now. Expand. Okay. So I hope the volume comes up and you guys can hear it. So I'm like trying to connect, because that's what we're watching right here. And then my co-host Melissa lets us know that we're on.
Hey, Marlena, do you mind taking that link at the very top here and putting it in the chat so if everybody wants to tune in and watch this, they can?
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Okay.
So this is a Matterport virtual open house, right? Like you're
Right.
walking people through? Cool. Yeah, I don't know if it's playing right now.
My box up on the top, I'm giving a quick little like rundown of the property, and then we start touring around the home.
So one of the questions that just came in, Marlena, as we're watching this is, what does a 3D walkthrough actually cost you? Like, what does it run you?
The
Like the Matterport.
Like if if I'm hiring the photographer, I think it's only like $150 the photographer I use as an add-on. So I pay that all day long to be able to have that video, to have that tour.
Very cool.
Yeah. Once I can figure out where the chat box is, I'll go ahead and share this link. Should I stop share? Stop share screen?
Yeah, you can, I mean, as long as you got that link, yeah, stop sharing and then we can figure out how you can put it in the chat.
Okay.
Or if you want to text it to me, I can put it in the chat too.
Okay. Yeah,
It says, do you do this
here
on
we
your do you do this on your iPhone, tablet?
Oh, hang on, sorry. This video is still playing, so let me turn off the volume. Okay, sorry, you were saying.
What device do you use? Do you use an iPhone? Have you ever done one on an iPhone?
As far as like a virtual open house on site?
Yeah.
Yes, right on the iPhone.
Cool. Cool deal.
But you want to have good connectivity. That's the only thing there to be concerned about, is either ask your client for the Wi-Fi password for the property, or either have a hotspot, or just make sure that you're not in a crappy reception area with that home. Because you'll see the lag and delay in your video, and the quality is not that great. Okay, so here's the link. It's a long link to Facebook, but.
Cool. Yeah, she just put the link in there. Vicky, you had a question?
Yeah, and use the stabilizer so it's smooth and it's not bumpy.
Yes, if
phone.
you want to invest, I would say for sure some type of like stabilizer or the gimbal thing, little machine that keeps your iPhone steady.
Can you do an in-person video and then do a virtual later?
For sure. I've done that. I had a listing that was a little challenging in terms of, you know, it wasn't one of those properties that just like flew off the market as soon as we listed it. There was some obstacles we had to overcome with it. And I would do in person, because my client moved out of the home. And again, another listing we had just put on the market literally the day before the stay-at-home orders were put into effect. So really had no choice but to do it virtually in that sense. But I would go to the home, you know, do the live video there, and then like during the week, do a webinar mode style, and just continue to promote that property until eventually, this is another success story. I got a phone call from a buyer, unrepresented, and said that they saw the property, and they, you know, asked me if I would show it to them. They explained their situation, met with them, full price cash offer a day later, double into that deal. And if that means I do an in-person and a virtual open house every single day of my life, I will.
And it's got to be a great listing tool, because you can actually have that link as part of your listing, have them see it in advance, what you do and how you market, or at the time of the listing, if you do a Zoom, you know, conference or in live.
Yes, Vicki, that's a great point, because I just incorporated on CBX Listing Experience, putting in a video of the 3D tour and how I do virtual open house as one of the custom slides in that listing presentation. So when the seller is asking, we're talking about marketing plan for that property, and they say, well, how are you going to reach buyers or have buyers come through, you know, given the circumstances? It's like, let me show you, and pull up the video, and they see how their property will be highlighted by this platform.
Another question
Absolutely.
that came through is, do you use lighting? Do you have any equipment that you use, microphone, any of that stuff?
It's really just my headset with the microphone here. I'm not fancy with earpods or any AirPods, whatever you call them. You don't have to invest in all the technology. Like, I have a halo light. It's right here. It's not really working for me though, because I'm sitting in my sunroom and the sun comes through here anyway. So, I mean, I think the whole point is, obviously you want to be as prepared and professional, right, in your presentation. But at the same time, perfection is the enemy of progress. just use and utilize the tools that you have and just do it. Just have fun, like give it a shot. You know, you'll never know until you try. And that's really what I did. I watched one other webinar from another team, Team Manzon, who did a training on this. And I took furious notes. And then I tried to follow the plan as I had wrote it out. But, you know, that very first virtual open house, like I said, I bombed because one person registered, but at the same time, it was the one person who needed to watch that, because then they brought us a full price offer that same night.
Super cool. I was thinking of sharing my screen real quick just to show people what the registration looks like and then how you can plug it into Bitly. Are you okay with that? And maybe Vicky, do you want to field questions while I do that real quick?
Absolutely, you betcha.
Just gonna take 2 seconds, guys. I just want to show you kind of what Marlena was showing us or talking about earlier. So you go into Zoom, you'd create your event, right? And that's that long, obnoxious link I think that she's talking about.
Yep.
Which is not fun. We don't want to have a gross, ugly link we put out there for everybody to see, right? Okay, so at the very top of your account, when you have Pro, you go ahead and hit schedule a meeting. Might be on the basic version, but you can't necessarily require registration. So here,
Nick, really quickly. So on the left-hand side, that menu, you're in meeting mode, but I dropped down to webinar.
you drop down to here.
Yes, because the difference of this is everyone who logs or who tunes in, they're not going to have their own box with their video, and then they can't talk. So there's not an issue with like muting people, unmuting people. Webinar mode is to like show your screen and have your audience watch it kind of like anonymously.
Got it. So just so everybody's clear on the chat, I did say earlier that it's only $15 a month. It's actually more than, if you do the webinar version, there's an upgrade of, I think, 40 bucks a month. So it makes it a total of 55 a month. Just so everybody understands that. I just want to be super clear. So you go through the webinar version here. Yeah, I was just going to show them, if you go to meetings and you schedule a meeting, just where the registration tab is that you're talking about here. Where she says registration required. This little box here, when you guys schedule a meeting, that's all that she's basically doing. And then again, there's details that you can fill out here, whether, you know, again, I think the webinar version has a little bit different options here, but go ahead and hit save. And all she's doing is taking this long link here. She's going to copy that link, and then she's going to go to Bitly. And remember, Bitly is free. And then at the very top, once you guys create an account on Bitly, you're just going to go to this little create tab here at the very top, click on the link option, and then paste that link into here. And it's going to auto create a short link. So this is what she's talking about, this short link with all these weird characters here. And I believe you actually can customize the back half, right? So if you wanted to make it like 1, 2, 3, Main Street or what have you, you actually could make it like even more custom, which is kind of cool. So that's a possibility.
And I have a question here that says, can you do a side-by-side interview in webinar mode?
I think so. Yeah, because you can add you can add a co-host. And so when you add that co-host, they'll get their own box, like their own screen. And then so the person watching,
you know, Marlena, I think they have a presenter mode too.
Yeah,
so
there's
those that are presenting will be on the screen, and then you won't see the others.
Yeah, and then also the audience, right? As I'm watching this webinar, I can choose my the way I'm looking at it. Like right now, my face is at the bottom, and I have a banner of the other participants across the top. But you can do it like single mode, or however. There's different interface ways the audience, like the person watching it, can set up their screen as they view it.
Yeah, I definitely know that the side-by-side is possible, because I've been part of some webinars before, and it was just me and 2 other speakers during the entire talk, and it was just us up there. So yes, I know during webinar it is. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Any other questions, guys, for Miss Marlena?
There's one that says, is that link that you had, you put it on Facebook and Instagram?
The link.
The bit.ly link, I
The
think.
Bitly,
Oh,
Bitly,
okay,
yeah.
yes. So I see the event as having two really beneficial outcomes. One is having people actually register for the event, because then I'm capturing their information. So now I have that new contact, that new email, they can go in my database, I can nurture that lead. And then the other one is, even if no one registers for my webinar, I'm still doing the whole event from beginning to end and pushing it out onto Facebook Live. So I want my audience on Facebook to also see that this event is happening. So whether they register for the webinar, but I'm still encouraging the registration because I want the contact info. But even if they don't, I still want that audience to know that, you know, on Saturday at 11 a.m., I'm hosting a virtual open house. So set a reminder, log in, I'll see you then. Or they, you know, they can watch the video the next time they're on Facebook and it's playing in their feed.
Yeah, it's all about creating the vibe or the buzz
Yeah.
before the event. So.
Yeah, people are asking if they can join your next live webinar to watch you. So
Sure.
guys, if you go onto Facebook and you type in Marlena Baldonado, she is not hard to find. So feel free to go and find her, you know, friend her or like her business page. And again, you can easily tune into the next one that she's got going on.
Yes, I'm hosting another
I
one on
already did it. I already did it.
Thursday. I'm hosting one on Thursday. It's a happy hour, virtual open house, 4 o'clock. And that'll be on Facebook Live. I have the registration link, promoted on my Facebook and on Instagram. So yeah, I'm not hard to find. Look me up.
That's another question that hasn't been asked, but maybe people are thinking it. Is there a time of day or day of the week that you feel works best?
I've had the same question, and I've done virtual open houses on, you know, weekend mornings, like 11 a.m., weekend afternoons at 2 or 3, weekdays at 4. I haven't really seen any type of, you know, engagement or indication to say one day or time is better than the other. Again, I think it's just a matter of just do it. And, you know, if you do it enough consistently, I think that's the whole point, right? You'll see the results. Whatever you do consistently, you'll see the results of that.
Just to answer Jen's question, she's using her Facebook business page and then sharing it to her personal. And then she's having her co-host also share it and whatnot, and other people who can host a watch party off of the video itself, correct?
Yes. Get as many people involved as possible.
Yeah, the watch party thing is genius. I haven't really promoted that. I like that idea a lot. I really enjoyed this exactly what I need. Okay, you've got fans, so maybe we'll leave it at that, which is pretty cool. Thank you so much, Marlena, for taking the time to do this for us today.
Yeah.
As much as I love you, I'm sure everybody else is loving you too. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just having fun with
Thank
it.
you,
So if I
Marlene.
can share with you, you know, what I'm doing, that's
Well, thanks for your link. I think that's important for everyone to get, and copy that link before we go off, everyone. And then the other thing too is, if I may, for tomorrow's class, it's CRMLS Home Snap. You do have to register. You all have the virtual calendar, I'm assuming. That's been pushed out to you. Just register so you can get the link for the training tomorrow at noon.
Beautiful.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Marlena. Everybody have a fabulous day. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
Bye.